Warriors. I just couldn't call it a night without coming and doing a video for you. It's very late at night here in New York City, and it's been a really full day, and I just can't get all the work in front of me done. But I want to make sure I joined with you because Wednesdays, and you'll probably see this, this is late Wednesday night, you'll probably see it Thursday morning or thereafter. Today is radio day. I do my Lynn's Warriors radio program on WVOX here in New York, 1460 AM, or you can go to WVOX.com. Of course, the universe and watch the program. It's kind of chilly here in New York. I decided to put on a sweater and address a couple of things before another day goes through, because my next couple of days I'm just incredibly busy, boots on the ground kind of work to protect our children and to educate parents and communities, and I just don't have the time to do videos, but I'm going to do a nice long one perhaps tonight. We'll see how long you can stick with me. I want to start with all of this kerfuffle, as we call it, going on with these congressional hearings with Facebook and Instagram. Now, Warriors, let me give you the bottom line. Last Thursday, September 30th, we had Antigone Davis, Global Safety Director at Facebook and Instagram. And they're both the same company. They're owned by the same, it's Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook and Instagram. Well, the takeaway from that congressional hearing was not much, not transparency. And when presented with simple questions, Ms. Davis, who was testifying, I guess you'll call it testifying. I was going to say appearing, but I think it's testifying. She would say things like, I'll bring it back to my team. Or, I'll get on that. Okay, that's that. Now, yesterday and over the weekend, whistleblower Frances Haugen. And Ms. Haugen testified yesterday in front of Congress about the harms she found while working at Facebook. Warriors, I'll just leave all of that for a second and say to you, lots of noise, lots of distractions, lots of disruptions. Just take the child sexual abuse material down. Agree to reform Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which gives full immunity to all of these big tech companies. These 25 years since 1996, the internet was born. Let's change up the rules, because the rules are changing, let's face it, for everything else around us. Nothing else seems to apply anymore. These are children. Anything to do with children is criminal. Just take it down, just do something. I don't want to hear all the noise. So although I remain positive, and I do preach every day that because all of this is so overwhelming and dark, we should stay in our lanes and work in our own homes and communities. And, if you have a goal of doing one thing a day, and you accomplish that, then you've done your jobs. That's what I tell myself every day, because if I stop and think, it's too overwhelming. So, the jury is out on all of this noise. I try to say the good news is that people are talking about it. Things are happening. But, all of this technology, AI, all kinds of stuff going on, could somebody just put in automatic child safety features or filter out this child sexual abuse material? Is that too much to ask? So in the meantime, Warriors, it falls upon us, the parents and grandparents and trusted adults, to keep our own children safe. Because you know what? From what I can see, nobody else is doing it. I am thoroughly disgusted about so many different things, yet remain positive about so many different things. I'm sure by now you've all heard of Attorney General Merrick Garland sticking the FBI on parents that oppose what their children are being taught in the classrooms. If you speak up against masks, critical race theory, and all those other, this sexualization in literature that they're giving to our young children in school. Now the Teachers Association has deemed that they're feeling unsafe. Well, it does. There are always some crazy people, and I think we can all agree that so many people in the last 2 years, thereabouts, are really over the edge and have gone full crazy, and they're upset, and they act out. But I venture to say the majority of people are sane, like you and me, and are just speaking out what is best for our children. So, my whole thing is, Attorney General Merrick Garland, maybe you can get the DOJ, the FBI to prosecute and give them resources to find these child predators, these child trafficking rings. Deal with the gangs. The gangs are in every state carrying out the work of the cartels, and their number one business, you could say drugs, goes back and forth. I say they're on equal footing. I actually say human trafficking goes beyond the drugs because it's a lot easier to carry off than the drugs. That's their trade. So I say, AG Merrick Garland, give resources so we can investigate all of this predation going on all around us. And while you're at it, just today, 160, I think it's 160 minors unaccompanied at the border. These parents just sent them on their way. Despite any of the talk of illegal, let's look at this for a minute. These are children. Do you know the dangers of traveling alone? I know they're traveling in a pack and sticking together. That doesn't matter. Predation's all around. The cartels are in control somehow and deliver them to the border. And then they're met on the other side by we really don't know who. No transparency. It seems to be the word of the day. Transparency with the congressional hearings. And not by the members of Congress, I might add. It would be by Facebook. It would be, this whistleblower thing is just nice, clean, wrapped up package. You know what I mean? I have to think about this. Again, I'm remaining positive, but it's interesting. I'll say that. Interesting. I'm going to just keep that back of my mind a little bit. It's too neat. It's too clean. What's going to come out of all of this? I hope that Congress keeps pressing. But again, if they really wanted to do something, if the tech companies really, they would have done it by now. Come on. People don't have time and energy with this stuff. In the meantime, people struggling with jobs and paying their bills and trying to take care of their children. And we've got the public school system in disarray, and not just the public school system, private schools too, in disarray with what's being taught. Sheer craziness, but that's why we're warriors, because we take things into our own hands and our own homes and communities. And I say that all the time because when we strengthen our own homes collectively, it strengthens our communities. So we'll leave all the Facebook and the Instagram, and we know the harms caused. You know what the bottom line is? You've got to be on top of what your children are doing. You've got to know who their friends are. You've got to communicate. You've got to use monitoring tools, a word I really don't like. Necessary, though, in today's day and age, because like I always say, do you know what your children are doing online? Because the predators do. So use those safety filters you can find from protectyoungeyes.com is the website, free. You can go to BARK, that's BARK.us. Try their 7-day free trial with their monitoring. 30 plus apps, emails, text messages. Just try it. Enact the safety pins on your streaming. Hulu very quietly in July. It's like nobody knew about it. We were all pressing for it. Put these safety pins that the kids you know, kids are savvy too. So you got to be on top of it. Even with all these safety features, you got to be checking on a daily basis. That's what it is, warriors. And it's a lot going on. But I wanted to share a couple of things with you I think are so important. October is National Awareness Month for Domestic Violence. And a wonderful website to learn facts and more about this, nnedv.org. That's National Network to End Domestic Violence, nnedv.org. I hope the levels are okay because it's late at night and I tend to lose my voice after talking all day. And domestic violence, although separate from human trafficking, they both intersect. They both have somebody using power, coercion, force, control over another human being. So they actually intersect. If you go to linswarriors.org, the website, I posted a study about the intersection of domestic violence and human trafficking. And I'd like all of you, when you have a chance, to really look at that because they are very similar yet separate, and each deserve their own attention. But you know, we have a day for this, a month for that. It's got to be every day, these issues. You know, once you learn the issue, you have some resources, you know, under your belt, then go to the next one. You're educated. You've got that. You know, we've got the National Human Trafficking Hotline, 888-373-7888. And then we also have the Domestic Violence Hotline. I want all of you to have those resources, again, on the website, linswarriors.org. I think I'll put on my glasses. I'm going to take a sip out of my Lins Warriors mug right now of water. By the way, and I'm not ashamed to say that I sell all of these items, mugs, t-shirts, lunch, I was gonna say lunch boxes. I don't think we have lunch boxes anymore, but to carry your lunch in, reusable grocery totes, posters, glasses, cafepress.com, Lins Warriors, because all of the money I raise through selling the merchandise goes directly to survivors of human trafficking. And the monies are used for very simple things: food, medication, paying a bill, a small bill, grocery bill. Oh, I'm sorry, not grocery bill. I can tell it's late when I make mistakes. Electric bill, I was going to say, a water bill. And now, warriors, on top of everything, I have to kind of blow my nose. Excuse me. How rude of me, but I don't want to turn the video off, so bear with me. Excuse me for doing that, but I'm telling you, I'm sitting in a room and there's a vent and there's like this wind coming through the vent and it's off the Hudson River. I feel like winter's coming or something. It's not that cold outside, so bear with me. Thank you. I give all of these monies just for daily necessities. Some of these people need to just buy shampoo, socks, deodorant. Some need to take an Uber somewhere. Some, you know, it's a Metro Pass, which is here in New York, is to take the bus, the subway. I don't even like sending anybody on the subway these days. Too many crazy things happening. I'd rather give them money for Ubers so they're safer. And such good people trying hard to lift themselves out. You know, it's not just you're trafficked or you're exploited. It's a lifelong recovery. It's a day by day kind of thing. People need to understand that. And again, we don't have resources. There's so much red tape. Sure, there are different programs, this and that. By the time you get that money, you just needed a hamburger yesterday. That's where I fill in the gap for stuff like this. Sometimes it's, well, just daily expenses, co-pays, doctors, dental work. So please support all of the merchandise because you're all warriors, and I thank you for that. And that's also what I do when I raise money for Lynn's Warriors. I have no shame. Go to lynswarriors.org. Those monies raised also go to survivors and also for housing and making sure people are safe. And I'll just leave it at that. It is traumatizing for everyone. And it's more traumatizing when so many people are just flooding our borders, coming into our towns. We're paying the taxes. And again, no transparency. You know, I heard a study, so we're up to almost, remember, we don't really know the true numbers. We know what we hear in the media, and we know that, well, I personally take that as sort of a framework, because unless I wrote something myself, I've done the research, I'm reporting on it, I tend not to believe what I hear. But for argument's sake, I heard 1.5 million people have come over the border so far this year. We're expecting 2 million. The Biden administration admits to 20% of these illegal people flooding into our country have diseases or have COVID or sickly. So let's right now round that off to 2 million at 20%. That's 400,000 people. Probably a higher number because we really don't know. Flooding in with sickness. Is that not the craziest thing? Crisis at the border, crisis with the children being warehoused on the other side of the border, being brought over by the cartels, you know, and then deposited on the other side. Our border patrol are overwhelmed. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. These children, I'm talking just about children right now, despite anything you think. This is human rights abuse issues. Dangerous. We know what's going on. We know there's sex trafficking. We know this. We know. And you know it too. And it's got to stop. And somebody somehow has to step in here and get this, stopping all of this. And we don't even talk about the drugs. There was one drug seizure maybe 2 months ago in Florida I heard about. Enough fentanyl to kill 500,000 people. 500,000 people. Shocking, but you know all this. Well, let's talk about some things I really want you to know about. There's a Warrior Take Action. I want to start planting the seed. It doesn't happen until December 4th, and it's happening in New York City. The Epstein trial for Ghislaine Maxwell begins at the very end of November, opening arguments. I believe it's November 29th. Things are a little bit in flux right now. So we'll say end of November, December 1st. But right now it's slated for November 29th. EpsteinJustice.org. It's a website for all of you. EpsteinJustice.org. Lynn's Warriors is a proud member, along with some other wonderful organizations, all concerned about justice for the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and standing with the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and also making some noise about why is Ghislaine the only one in jail? Say she's in jail with this whole sex trafficking that has been going on for 25 years plus. Surely, we know there are other people complicit. Why is she the only one? These people had a lot of help. So what we're doing, Warriors, if you're around, everyone's invited. Downtown St. Andrew's Plaza, which is across from the courthouse, will be gathering at 1 p.m. on December 4th and just making some noise, peaceful protesting. Everything the Warriors does is peaceful protesting. So I'll just keep filling you in about this information, but we need people to show up. It's going to be for 1 hour. We'll have a large group of these victims of Ghislaine and Epstein with us because they're here for the trial, and we want to really come together and ask that other people be held accountable and make some noise and have some visuals. Take it to the streets. December 4th. But I'll keep you posted on that. And tomorrow I have to catch up. Tomorrow I have to really load the website with a lot of different things. And like I said, it's very late already tonight. But I want to make sure I got to you with a few of these, my takes and things for you. When I talk about things, it's not so I can just talk. It's for you to do a little research. It's for you to think about. It's for you to take action. I'm always about solutions, resources, take actions. Remember, although we're overwhelmed, everyone can make a difference. Numbers count. So if I talk about something, go to house.gov, go to senate.gov, see who represents you, drop them an email, say, we don't want the sex trade in our state. Something very simple, one sentence, but you got your name there. Sometimes they have, usually fill in your name, your zip code, directs you to who represents you, house.gov, senate.gov. It's a tremendous take action. You could jot down some of these things we're talking about, Fuller Krim, Jeffrey Epstein, write about these issues. Numbers count, but I'm going to direct you so we're not all over the place because there's so much to cover. But that is December 4th, New York City, and it's called Survivors Standing with Survivors. EpsteinJustice.org is the website. We'll talk more about this because we're getting organized now. We're bringing on some more organizations, and it's going to be fantastic. But I do want to fill you in. So you know about October being Domestic Violence Month. And I have some shocking. Let me just give you some facts. By the way, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE. Again, 1-800-799-SAFE. The National Human Trafficking Hotline is 1-888-373-7888. You should always have those numbers handy. And you can call and ask questions. You can call and ask for local resources. Don't wait until it's too late. Have any questions? Call them. But always in an emergency situation, to call 911. Wait on nothing, you call 911. But I want everybody to, I urge you, please sign up for the Women's Warriors newsletter. I sent out a doozy of a newsletter this morning. Well, all doozies in my opinion. Generally, they go out Tuesday or Wednesday. And pointing out how sex trafficking and domestic violence intersect with the middle. Think of it as a wheel with all these different spokes. And the middle of both wheels, power and control. So go, kind of sign up. The newsletter, I send them out, I repeat. I wait about 3 days. And those who did not receive the newsletter, they get it again. So while you have a chance, go to the website, linswarriors.org, and sign up where it says, e-sign up. So I will send it out probably Saturday again, a couple of days, sign up and you will get it. Because I want you to see these studies. I also want you, again, talking about this take action, to learn a little bit about policies and legislation. Now, look, we're all busy. I don't expect you to, be researching and this and that. But if you sign up for these newsletters, if you go on the website, it's done for you. You're simply clicking on, you're adding your name, and you're hitting the send button, and away you go. That's all you have to do. One of the important take actions, very important. It's called the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act. Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act, TVPRA. Now, this landmark legislation was created in 2000 for the first time, providing a legal framework for prosecuting and addressing human trafficking in the United States. They only started talking about it in 2000. It's 21 years ago, not that long ago. Let me digress for a second. You know, domestic violence nobody ever talked about until about 30 years ago. We started opening it up, talking about it. More and more people came forward. So now we have human trafficking. Started 21 years ago. We still have a ways to go, in my opinion. But hopefully the next few years, it's opening more and more and more. But with opening it, we need those resources. We need those safe houses. We need what I'm doing on an individual basis with these survivors. You know, sometimes my best laid out plans for the day go awry because I'm called perhaps to help somebody. And I can't do any of my other work because that person, that human being comes first. Because we're warriors. That's what we do. I'm a warrior, you're a warrior. But let me get back to this Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act. Every couple of years they put it up, you know, to be reauthorized. It's up right now. And we have to ask Congress, they must pass this because now this new reauthorization, they tweak it a little bit. It basically remains the same. But again, a lot of things change and are really changing now. And luckily, they did the right thing. They expanded the definition of child trafficking to include online exploitation and grooming. So we need this passed. So one of your take actions is go to house.gov, senate.gov, see who represents you in your state, your community, your city. Write to them about the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act, TVPRA. Again, it's all in the newsletter. I'll get this up on the website tomorrow because this is so important. So you can participate. Again, something like this in numbers. They do keep records in these offices. So we need everybody. Anything with online exploitation, we all have to be in on that one. When I mentioned about December 4th and taking it to the streets, I did take it to the streets this past Saturday, October 2nd in Times Square. Warriors mug available for you. There's a wonderful organization that wants to put a stop to sex trafficking and the exploitation of children. Exodus Cry, EXODUS, cry.com, exoduscry.com. And Helen Taylor, the director of intervention, flew in from California. And we planned to meet in Times Square, 4 o'clock on Saturday. Now, I'm a lifelong New Yorker. I really always have walked through Times Square, coming out of a theater, going into a theater, crossing from east to west, west to east. I don't hang out in Times Square. And certainly on a Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Well, let me tell you, warriors, it was a lovely group, 25, 30 of us. You can go on my Facebook, Twitter, see some pictures. In the newsletter, you got to sign up also. Protect children, not porn. Now, let me explain what this means. There's a petition. This is another take action. I need all of you to work on this with me. ExodusCry.com. You'll find the petition. We want age verification on these adult sites, these porn sites, because the children are literally 2 clicks away from accessing harmful content. We know, we have the studies. They're all over. They're in the newsletter. They're on my website. Find some yourself. There's lots, but my job is to do the work for you so you can help me. And it, you know, once you see something, a child, you can't unsee it. It goes for everybody, but those little brains developing. And we know from the studies that this graphic, violent porn that seems to be the norm these days rewires their little brains. And they're watching this and they're becoming addicted to it. So we have a petition, again, exoduscry.com. sent to the president, sent to the vice president. You'll see the whole list. Asking them to require age verification. Now, what is that? A government ID, a form of ID. You have to hold up, you have to sign in with more information, because right now, a lot of these sites have a box. Are you 18 or older? Kids check off the box, they're in the sites. It's becoming the norm. Do I sound drastic? Yes, because this is all drastic. This is all happening. It's happening to your children and my children, everybody's children. And we've got to nip this in the bud. We have to start intervening more. We have to be better boots on the ground to talk to the kids and make sure they're not getting on these sites. So I say talk to the kids, because even if you do everything correctly in your home, they have friends. You know, their friend will show them something on a phone or on a computer. You don't have the safety filters. The predators are breaking in on sites with porn. Kids are actually searching, and I've been mentioning this every day now. You know, it could be just working and searching, perhaps Google for something, and they're led to sexual sites. I did have a variety of porn women attacking me after I posted a few things on Saturday, but okay, whatever. I don't care about porn. I care about children in porn. I care about the children in porn videos, underage, minors, illegal, criminal. So instead of AG Merrick Garland being worried about parents not liking what their kids are taught, let's take all those FBI resources and put it into this that we have been fighting for the last couple of years. So again, it's exoduscry.com. I ask all of you to go there, look for the petition, age verification. And also last week, they put out a 30-minute YouTube documentary, I'll call it, Magic Lantern channel on YouTube, Magic Lantern channel called Raised on Porn. Free. Watch it. It'll give you an idea of what's really going on. You know, the landscape. You got to know. Remember, knowledge is power. You got to know the facts. You got to know what's really happening. And I agree, it's so tough because so much is going on, and we're just trying to live every day and make ends meet. This is crisis, warriors, and I know you can handle it. I know you can do it. So educate yourselves. I started saying I wanted to give you some facts. I'm jumping all over. I apologize about that. Let's go back a little bit to the domestic violence and talk about that. It's bad. It's bad. You know, I want to give you the correct information, so bear with me for a second, because my papers are all over the place. I usually remember these things, warriors, but very late at night, I don't want to make a mistake with this one. 20% of the women in the United States have been raped. That's 1 in 5. Remember, these are underreported crimes. 20%, it's probably higher. 20,000 calls are placed a day to domestic violence hotlines. 20,000 calls a day. 10 million people a year are physically abused by an intimate partner. This is shocking. So again, some good take actions, some studies. I want you to read 2 websites: National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, ncadv.org, and also, I mentioned earlier, National Network to End Domestic Violence, nnedv.org. Warriors, get on. You know, and a lot of, I was talking about it on my radio program today, a lot of young girls are involved in relationships with their boyfriends who are very abusive. It's like 1 in 4 girls experience violence in their relationships. And that also goes into the coercion of sex trafficking, or their boyfriends actually sex traffic them. and the girls are thinking this is normal. I'm talking about regular teen, well, that doesn't sound right. I'm talking about teenagers. I'm not talking about that Romeo effect where a girl is groomed. You know, she meets a guy and everything starts out nice. And after a while, it's, oh, you know, Susie, I need help with gas money. She does one thing, you know, it's all going hand in hand, but you know what it all falls? It's all the normalization of the sexualization of our children. And it's speeding up. And my guest today, and I'll have the link to the interview up tomorrow, Tim Winter, president of the Parents Television and Media Council out in Hollywood, as I call it, hashtag Hollywood Hustle, joined me on the Warriors today to talk about programming. Now, this is a man with a vast career in the entertainment industry. He worked at NBC for 15 years. He helped create MSNBC. He worked at MGM. He has been at the Parents Television and Media Council since 2003. And he said to me he has never seen anything like this. And Netflix is the major offender here. That Netflix. Where do we start with that one? I want you to watch what, you know, the kids are doing. There's a show called Big Mouth, and I've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely not for children. It's an animation. And the animation is, I think the kids are 13 in it, 12, 13, you know, talking about, I'll just say, you know, sex with parents, everything you can imagine. See, I can't even get it out of my mouth. I'm not disgusting. Now, who is this program made for? Is it made for adults? So it normalizes children in these sexual situations, or is it made for children to normalize, to habituate them? This is how it is. I say, my opinion, the entertainment industry is doing it on purpose and trying to normalize this sexual behavior all around the adults and the children and bring it all together. Again, the bottom line is money. I said to Tim Winter, president of the Parents Television and Media Council, how? Why? How are they getting away with this? Nobody's stopping them. It's criminal. Anything with kids is criminal, you know, whereas things were always innuendo, suggested over the years. This is hardcore, a lot of this stuff right now. I mean, it's really pornographic. And I don't throw that word around lightly, nor am I any kind of a prude. But there's also on Netflix a show called Sex Education about a high school sex therapist, a kid, a student, and he's advising all these kids with this. They all have seemingly these big sex lives. And his mom in the program is a sex therapist. So she coaches him, and they're very openly discussing all this sexual everything. It's very inappropriate. You know, look, when I saw Nancy Drew, the reboot in 2019 that everybody was excited about, HBO Max, and it opened the first scene. Do you know what it was, Warriors? It was Nancy Drew having sex with somebody. They never really said who. Casual sex. I think that's what they call it. You know, and Nancy Drew was always marketed to kind of the tweens, you know, like 11, 12, 13, and then into like, you know, 15, 16. And this is how the reboot of good old Nancy Drew, you know, why wasn't there more outrage over that? We had the momentary outrage last year over the Netflix goodie called Cuties, a little outcast girl who joins a dance troupe, finds her voice, and the dances were very sexual. You know, all the advertising was very sexual. They ended up taking the advertising down. It was already too late. Everybody saw it. Everybody was talking about it. All the media was buzzing about it. Nothing came of it, except for Turkey. Turkey gave it the boot. and said, you cannot play cuties in our country. After all was said and done, and everybody was, oh, this was outrageous. Sexualizing our children lasted about 48 hours and back to business as normal. They got so much free publicity. You know me, Hollywood Hustle, I think they planned it. I think so. Because everybody was talking about it and nothing happened, okay? I do want to share with you something really disturbing now. I mean, all of this is actually disturbing. You know, so much to tell you. We have something in Washington, and it's called a working group. A working group, different, how can I say this? Different subject matters, different topics. You have listening sessions with Washington. Everybody's on the phone, nothing's recorded. And the working group for human trafficking, sexual exploitation is a listening group, I'll call it that. And back in June, we had a session, and it was about ending demand for sex trafficking. Because until we tackle that, it's going to be tough, warriors. Ending demand, holding those accountable who cause harm. So, okay, listening session in June. Now, September 23rd, second, everything seemed on board. Everybody's talking, everybody's suggesting. It's about, we have these listening sessions so that policy can be created, how to best serve people. June seemed to go along fine. New one in September. Horrific. The dialogue in 3 months change. Remember, these are bipartisan issues, or they're supposed to be bipartisan issues. These are human rights abuse issues. Everybody's on these issues from all different kinds of groups. And September 23rd, lo and behold, the federal government, all of their terms were sex trade, pro-sex work. There are survivors who have lived this, sharing experiences of the harms, the oppression of all of this. And our own federal government, in a 3-month period, went from, a real listening session to, I'm going to say almost like a bullying session about everything was pro-sex trade, pro-sex work. First of all, we don't use words like that. We believe that sex is not work. So we do not believe sex is a job. We do not believe, sex worker. We don't call people that. We believe these are oppressed people. These are victims, people that need to be lifted out of this. More, again, resources. So instead of all this, our federal government should be doing more. There's only one safe house for boys accredited in the state of Florida, one in the entire United States. We should be working on more of those kinds of things, more education, more job training, more partnering with companies and corporations to employ people. Well, the Warriors is working on all of that. That's good news. But this was shocking. So one of our partner organizations, World Without Exploitation, National Anti-Trafficking Coalition, Warriors, like I said, is part of it, put together an outstanding letter to the government saying that we want all of this dialogue changed. It's not accepted. We don't talk like that. If you really want to reduce commercial sex, you're not talking about, the pro-sex worker, pro-sex trade. Really shocking. In direct contrast to this last listening session, to the previous one 3 months earlier. I don't know what happened in 3 months, but if I didn't know better, I would think a few people got to our federal government. And that's frightening because as I sit here in New York City, New York State is facing the full decriminalization of the sex trade. And that means that prostituted people, I will say, will not be arrested, will not be held accountable. But that also means the pimps and the traffickers and the brothel owners will not be arrested. So what Women's Warriors and others are calling for is partial decrim, or it's called the equality model. And what that is should they want the prostituted people, we will give them exit strategies and resources to get out of that life. Because again, we believed force, fraud, and coercion. Plus, on top of it, a very common thing has become getting these people to commit other crimes, whether it's drugs or robbery, so the trafficker or pimp can pin that on them, kind of thing. So getting those records erased, realizing this is trafficking and they cannot be held responsible, but holding accountable those who cause harm. That's the equality model. That's ending the demand. That's going to hurt the dollar. Remember, follow the money, that old saying, but it's so true. The bottom line is money. What is frightening is our new governor, Kathy Hochul. Although she hasn't committed, she's open to discussing the full decriminalization of the sex trade. She has appointed two people so far that are pro-sex trade. Not looking good. That's a take action. House.gov, Senate.gov, find out who, if you're in New York, represents you, and write to them and say, we do not want full decriminalization of the sex trade. And the fear is always that no laws, more money to be made, fill the demand, more people trafficked, big demand for children. Not looking good. Not looking good, warriors. We do have some other good news before we finish up. Do you know who Peter Nygaard is? If you're a fashionista, he's a fashion executive. He's 80 years old now. He's been around forever. Big store on 40th and Broadway here, which is considered the garment district. What's left of it, I will say. What used to be bustling when I was a kid. People with racks of clothing and everybody running around and bolts of fabric. I was fascinated by all of that. And it's dwindling down now. I guess because everything's coming from China. I don't think I've seen a garment rack being rolled through there. I think I saw one in the last year, despite what's been going on in the last, 20 months now, 21 months. I don't even want to say the word anymore. I did see a couple of weeks ago, one garment rack. But this Peter Nygaard, big store, big blue flashing lights, Nygaard, kind of active wear, sporty wear. I never went in it. I just walked past it all the time. But in front of this store at 40th and Broadway, I think it's 30 feet tall, is the biggest Nygaard smiling with his arms crossed, Now, he was arrested for sex trafficking last year. The store closed overnight. He was raided, the whole bit. I've been looking at that 30-foot tall in what's considered the end of Times Square into the garment district. It's got to be taken down. I'm going to work on that tomorrow too. Times Square Alliance. This is a sex trafficker. Well, let me tell you about him. October 1st, 80-year-old Peter Nygaard, a former fashion executive, will soon be extradited from Canada. Yeah, he's Canadian. To the United States to face charges of sex trafficking and other crimes against women and teenage girls. The Canadian executive, who was once given to boasting about his flamboyant lifestyle, waived a Canadian extradition hearing on last Friday and is accused of deploying his company's influence, its money, and its employees to recruit adult and minor aged female victims, children, warriors, children, during a 25-year period for his sexual gratification and that of his associates. So he's 80. Maybe he figures what the hell he's got. Oh, I shouldn't say that. What the heck? He's gotten away with this. I always heard whispers. Another Jeffrey Epstein. I think they were friends, actually. Whispers, whispers, whispers all over New York. And now something, but I got to get that 30-foot tall Nygaard thing taken down. No, sex trafficking, children, hanging in all its glory. It's coming down. And also, there was some more good news. October 4th, the largest human trafficking sting in Ohio history. Operation Ohio Knows. 161 people arrested, including a firefighter, a teacher, a politician. The good news is 10 children were rescued. 10 children. Every time there's one child rescued. And somebody said to me, a couple of people have said to me, why don't we see their faces? Why don't we know? How come we don't hear more about it? These are children. These are traumatized. You're not splashing their pictures, their faces all over. Once in a while we see somebody found, but no. 10 were rescued. So I want to leave you with my warrior's wish I'm working on. I have so many projects I'm working on. A mandatory K through 12 human trafficking education in all schools in the United States. Now, some already do, the state of Florida, I believe Virginia. We need everybody on board with this. So stay tuned about that one. And I've created these warrior workshops. So I'll fill you in next time we talk where I'm lining up a few of them where I'm doing those. And I think that's it. I should let you all go because it's a lot. It's really a lot. But let's wrap up with a couple of things you could do. Please, linswarriors.org. Survivors, that's what I raise money for. Take a look at what's going on. You don't want your child to be next or your grandchild. So we need to educate, we need to raise awareness, we need to educate and intervene so your child is not next. And as human beings, it's our responsibility, I believe, to help others less fortunate who've been caught in this. So we have to work on that. We have to work on, don't forget, sign up for the newsletter. It'll go out again, probably Saturday. Mark your calendars, December 4th. If you're in the New York area and want to participate, to come stand with us. Remember, you can always write to me, lynn@linswarriors.org, and I will answer you. And go to parentstv.org. That's the website of the guest I had on my radio program today, Tim Winter. He has a lot of information about programming and what we can do to change it. And he talks about safety filters just like I do. He's got some take actions, ratings reform. He makes you aware, because let's face it, you don't know all these TV streaming online. So much is happening and being thrown at us. So he's got it all there for you. Let me warn you, 2 things. I'll leave you with this, warriors. Keep your kids away from Big Mouth on Netflix. And keep your kids away from Squid Game being touted as a world phenomenon that everybody loves and is tuning in. Well, they keep talking about it in the last couple of days. So of course people are curious and they're watching it. This is what Netflix does. They have a pattern. They put their own PR out there that everybody loves something, everybody's watching it, and that gets other people, just like they did with Cuties last year. And it's the biggest thing for Netflix worldwide. It's graphic violence. It is not meant for children. I'm just going to say it's graphic violence. Again, who are they making this for? Adults, children? I'm very concerned. This whole normalization of the sexualization. And now I see extra, and we've always had violence in these gaming and all that, but now they're starting to put it all together. Frightening, warriors, frightening. So you've got homework warriors, and I want to, of course, thank all of you for coming along on this journey and doing all of this for all of us. I am passionate. I am strong. I truly am a warrior because this is tough stuff. But you know what? I want our children to be protected. I want you to have knowledge. I want you to have free resources. And I know, warriors, together we really can make a difference. I feel it in my heart. So thank you very much. And remember, you're a warrior.